Welcome back, everyone, to the Brain Soul Success Show. I am so excited to be with my guest today, Nikki Burnett. Nikki Burnett is a functional nutritionist. She's a health detective. She's the founder of Taste Nutrition, and she created this amazing company called Soulful Conception. And this is for purposeful living for that healthy body and a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. I just think that's so beautiful. Like, I just have to tell you, I even had clients years ago say to me, why isn't somebody working with people and helping them get healthy before they conceive? And I thought, what a great idea. And here you're doing it. This preconception planning for growing families, as well as their future. You have such beautiful energy, Nikki. I can tell that when you're working with people, you're kind of like me. We have fun with our people. We love them. You want them to really heal and have a beautiful life. So it's more than just nutrition for you.
Oh, yeah, it is. And that's where, just to jump ahead, just very briefly, but that's kind of where soulful conception comes from because it really is it's about the clients, it's about having fun, it's about bringing them health, but it's also about creating the health of the future because we have so much control over that. And I think a lot of us don't realize or not aware of how much control we have over today and the future.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Again, the kids are our future leaders of our
Mhm.
country. So if
Mhm.
we're not investing in them and their health, their parents' health, then what are we doing?
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yep.
absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I know you do such a beautiful job with that. You're also the host of Taste Life Nutrition Radio and podcast, and that streams every
Yeah.
Thursday at 10 o'clock Mountain Time. So welcome. I'm so excited to just dive in today and get to know more about Nikki and her company and all the success that you're having and what's happening, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm excited.
absolutely. So, how did you even get started? Why did you even decide to get into the world of functional nutrition?
So when I started, I didn't know there was anything called functional. I didn't know what that was. So I
Mhm.
just knew I was out of grad school. I started studying nutrition and it just never stopped. It was really interesting. I have no idea where it came from because when I was in college and so in undergrad and grad school, literally, and I tell people this all the time, it was Taco Bell, Dr. Pepper. I mean, the whole thing, right? I rode my horses, I went to school and I ate trashy food. It was it was great. So something happened though, whatever it was. I mean, to me, it's a God thing, right? Where I just started studying and started learning and then just digging in. I was digging in as deep as I could. And so it was years, so I went through, I sold pharmaceuticals, I sold surgical devices. I was in the medical world in some capacity without, of course, practicing medicine for many years. But this whole time was studying nutrition. And finally, one day, I just thought, I need to know what I'm talking about. I need to understand how to look for what's right, what's wrong, because people ask me what's right and what's wrong. I ask myself what's right and what's wrong. I don't really know. And so I thought, okay, I'm done with corporate America and we're going back to school. And that's kind of
And
how it
that's how you
started.
got in that field. Well, good for you.
Yeah.
And good for you for turning around the Taco Bell Dr. Pepper stuff, right?
I know.
I hope I hope I think you're eating healthier now.
So
I
much. Yes.
so that's really, really good. Wow. And then just think about, I mean, how much did your brain change when you changed your nutrition?
Oh, it's incredible. It really is. Part of my story too is the fact that after, I became more involved in my own health, in my own nutrition, and more aware. I mean, I think those things create so much more awareness of your surroundings, of what the game that is played by, your big companies as far as marketing is concerned is what
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get at. And it's really
Mm-hmm.
frustrating. I went through a period myself though where I was dealing with some chronic issues and it was insane, and talk about affecting my brain. It was affecting my balance and my thinking and my understanding and my ability to work and all of these things. It was this headache. It was this 2-year headache.
Mm.
And that's part of, it's I think it's so beautiful where God puts us, even when it's really freaking hard,
Mm-hmm.
because it was through that journey that I was learning, digging into all of the different modalities in health and wellness and nutrition, whether conventional or non-conventional. And looking at all of the different pieces and parts of my body and being my own health advocate. And that's where Health Detective comes from, because I was doing my own detective work.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I spent a ton of money. And so
Mm-hmm.
I what my goal is now is to help people to be their detective, so they're not wasting and just sort of floundering, which is what I felt like a lot of the time, just kind of floundering around and not knowing what to do and where to go, and just throwing money at people who all say, yeah, I've got answers, let's do it, but they all had the wrong answers for me. And so that's what I hope for when I work with people, is like, let's get to it, let's start on it now, and let's get you, in a better place. So this is for your lifetime, right? This is stuff that you
Mm-hmm.
can take with you for your lifetime, and that you can pass down for generations. And if you are a person who is trying to grow your family, it's taking that health that you've created in your body and sending that on for, what the data shows is 7 generations. It's magical and fascinating and miraculous. I just love it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love your view of that, because really I think I don't know how many people are really thinking about the total families, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the kids too. Yeah, I've got to get drinking. The kids
Mhm.
and and the parents, like really making sure that everything is working. And then also teaching, because yes, we can do labs, you can do all that stuff and really learn about what you need as far as maybe some supplements, and you're their coach, you can help them with that. But if you're teaching them also how to
Mhm.
stay healthy, that's a
Yeah.
gift for a lifetime.
It is. It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is I think fascinating too, which is, sort of again why I do what I do, is it really is about bringing that awareness, because obviously we can't always control certain things. Sometimes we have surprises and we get pregnant, and that's just sort of life and the way that it goes. But when we do have the time and the ability, which I believe is most of us, then taking that time to really dig in to your physical, your mental, your emotional, even your spiritual, right? Even your financial and your relational, all of these different aspects, because really the top of it, as you well know, is
Mm-hmm.
stress. And
Mm-hmm.
so stress, our physical stress creates stress, our mental emotional stress creates stress, disease dysfunction creates stress, all of these stressors, financial issues create stress. So we can go on and on, but it's the stress that starts to just put this heavy burden on the body and continues to create dysfunction. And what I was finding is women coming to me saying, I've
Mm-hmm.
got all of this stuff going on, I've got GI junk going on, I've got this autoimmune condition going on, and one day I'd like to have a baby, and what's going to happen then? It's like, well,
Absolutely.
let's fix you,
Yeah.
let's get it all better so we don't have to worry about it, and it's all taken care of.
Yeah, and I can see that. I hear the same kind of things from
Yeah,
women.
for
It's
sure.
not one thing, and there's never one issue. It's
Yeah.
compounded, and it also is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and energy field.
Hmm.
That's what
Hmm.
I see. We're whole
Yep.
people, and we can't separate those parts.
No.
You can't just say, okay, I'm going to work on my physical body with ignoring your emotions, ignoring your spirituality, you know, your soulful
Hmm.
self too. Yeah.
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 So
It's sorry, go ahead.
you address the whole body, mind, spirit when you're working with people.
Yes. That's my goal anyway. Now, I'm not the expert that you are in the way that you work with the brain and with the spirit and the energetics and that kind of thing. So I have my space, and there are other things that I can touch on. But when I'm working with people who are really chronic,
Mm-hmm.
it's about building your team, bringing your people together who are there to help you, that you trust, who are experts in their own area, so you can work on all of those things, even if it's one at a time, even if it's just friends or family, but people who have the experience, have some knowledge, and can help guide you, even if it's bouncing ideas off, whatever the case may be. I've learned so much from you just through, experiences that I don't even really know about or I don't feel like are impacting me today.
Mm-hmm.
They do have an impact, and those are things that we have to address. We have to get through and get over, or however it works. We got to do it, and so it is about building your team. We have to, all of us do.
Yes, that's a great point. I like that, Nikki. And that's what I love about this space is, co-creating with you and other people, other practitioners of things that I don't know. I send people, to other people as well. And it's really about building that team. Yeah,
Yeah,
about
yeah,
building that team. And it does take a village, right? It
it
takes a
does. It
it takes a
does.
village to make those changes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What are
Mhm.
some of, give us some examples of the people you've worked with, some maybe case studies and some results.
Oh, I'm going to tell you my favorite one. Okay, I'm just going to start from the beginning. So, I was at a women's summit in Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and this woman heard me talk and she had and still has, but a daughter who was at the time, she was 17 or 18. I believe she was 18. She was beautiful and like 5'9" and 90 pounds. So really, really thin, tiny, tiny little thing. Well, after hearing me speak, she comes up to me. She's like, I need you to meet my daughter. And there's something going on and we don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So we meet, and this poor thing is, she doesn't eat well. She doesn't know how to eat well. She can't eat. She can't put on weight. She's dealing with acne. She was suicidal. She had, this was in my intake, but it's that inner shaking, sort of that inner nervousness, right? A lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. It was just all of these things that young people should not be dealing with. You're like, where is this coming from?
Mm-hmm.
So interestingly, we moved, at the time I was fairly new in my practice, but we were getting ready to run labs. But as we were getting ready to run labs, we say, okay, we're going to take out the 5 major foods that are problematic, right? Tend to create sensitivity. So eggs, soy, corn, gluten, and dairy. So take all of those things down. You can imagine being from Mexico, all of those things, except for maybe soy, are in all of their foods that they're eating on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So this particular story is such a beautiful way to look at the power of food,
Mm-hmm.
because in the time where we're waiting to get lab results back, we also looked at her epigenetic variants, but we're getting lab results back. She took out all of these foods and probably had a 75% change in everything about her, obviously positively. Like, it was huge changes for her. Her face was clearing up. She was happier. She was motivated. All of these things were changing for her just by taking out these insulting foods. So the beautiful thing, there are a couple of really beautiful things about this is, we still had work to do. She had some leaky gut issues, right? There's always work to do even after taking out these certain foods. But what we saw when we looked at these variants, so epigenetics is gene expression, right?
Mm-hmm.
Essentially. But we looked and she had the potential for celiac disease,
Uh-huh.
which is the potential for other autoimmune diseases. And so she was on that road to potentially a lifetime of autoimmune disease. And we stopped it. And
Nice.
I'm like, this is the coolest thing.
Yes.
And the really cool thing about it, I mean, that's really the coolest, but for me, it's just so satisfying that she went to nutrition school.
Oh, I love that story, Nikki. That's great. So
Isn't that
see,
fun?
yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So she went to, so you got her healthy. She's healthy. She's in nutrition school. She's learning for
Yeah,
herself now.
yeah, yeah.
Great, great. Hey, you know what?
Which,
Let's talk about celiac for a minute because
yeah.
this is my experience. I mean, when I was in my clinic, I saw a lot of people with digestive issues
Mhm,
because I myself had them too. So,
mhm.
of course, all autoimmune or any leaky gut, thing I think everyone has leaky gut. on some
Maybe.
level, maybe like a
Yeah.
little bit. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think anything is perfect. In other words, it depends on what we're eating. Maybe we went to a restaurant, and we're going to feel a
You
little
go up and
different.
down. Yeah.
It goes
Hmm.
up and down. Uh, but what I had seen that I just still think is just so like right on. I did a lot of Hannah Kroger's work, and I used her protozoa kit, which was
Yeah.
homeopathic and herbal. And I have to tell you, it's just, anyway, it's the best because it was targeted
Hmm.
to the celiac. It's targeted to the little tiny bacteriums that are almost parasitical in a sense.
Yeah.
And it just was much better than any kind of like wormwood, black walnut hull, other types of parasite cleanses that are typically done. It just felt more targeted and people got better faster.
Awesome.
And I loved that. And what's interesting about your story is people will ask me, they'll say, hey, I'm going to Mexico. I usually get sick down there. I really don't want to get sick. What would you have me take with? Hannah
Hmm.
Kroger's protozoa kit.
That's the smartest thing to do too, is to go with your toolkit full. Same thing years ago. I came back from Mexico and I was just so sick, sicker, like belly sicker than probably I've ever been. I've had food poisoning a lot. And for 8 days, I was just these painful knots. It was awful. And I'm like, I'm really afraid to go back to Mexico. So
Are
if
you?
I do, I it was awful. I mean, I'm not a big girl and I think got down to 105 pounds or something, and wasn't for long because I just couldn't. It was terrible, terrible. Anyway, so that's good to know because I will take it with me and I will tell everybody else about it who's
Yes,
been to Mexico too.
absolutely. It's so simple, right? Just take that with you. You can go to Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell us about your soulful conception program and how you work with people on that and some stories or results, with that.
Yeah. So it is, yeah. It has been long in my mind. I say long in the making, but it's been in my mind for a long time. What would this look like? How would I do it? What would I do? And so it's really newly launched and I'm still kind of working through the details. I do have a couple of people who are going through it, and it really is this I don't mean to be repetitive, but this need that I have to create the awareness around the amount of power that we have. I think so often, whether it's with health or whether it's with politics, it's like I'm just one person, it just doesn't matter. And it's really sad because it does matter. We
Yes.
each of us as individuals have this amazing amount of power in the beautifully creating, all these little people and creating the health of the future. No, we're in this place, we're sitting in this place right now full of fear and frustration and illness and fatigue from all of this, and creates more and more stress. And I just want to open people up to the knowledge of their power. So that's really what soulful conception is. It's about balancing the body. So if we're dealing with food issues, food sensitivities, if we're dealing with, gut microbes, right? We can run labs. We can look at the things that are going on. We can understand the symptoms. That's who I am at my core, and how I'm trained is to understand the root cause. Let's understand what's going on. Let's understanding what's creating the symptoms. Let's don't mask them because even supplements can mask symptoms, right? But
Mm-hmm.
let's dig for the root cause and let's address those, because then the body can do the rest. And when we are sitting in this place of dysfunction in whatever capacity, then the last thing the body's going to want to do is create a little person. It's too hard. It's too much. And so we
Sure.
need to take the stress and the pressure off the body, bring in the balances, or bring in balance. And then the body will leave the body to do its job. It's a really beautiful job. So the goal is to look at how we can change lifestyle, how we
Mm-hmm.
can affect mindset, how biomechanics can impact the body. It's all of these things. And so sorry, I feel like I'm being a little long-winded. I don't mean to be. Um,
No, it's all good. I mean, I love words, Nikki, and I also love how people express what they're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and I really think that's what like podcasting is all about. It's a
Yeah.
conversation, right? And we want to know what's in your brain. We want to know what you're feeling and thinking and how you work with people, because everyone is different. We're all going to resonate with different people.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I think it's beautiful, and you're so right on. It is body, mind, spirit, but it's different for each person and it's root cause.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. My hope for this program is in bringing people into it. I'm also bringing in other practitioners who are guest experts.
Mhm.
And so I want people to be able to have the ability to find the people that may not know that exist,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you would be one of those people. People who do hypnofertility, people who do visceral manipulation to help with fertility, people who do biomechanics, they work on the structure of the body and all the things that are involved because those things can help impact fertility. Good
Mhm.
and bad. If you are not aligned, it can impact fertility in a negative way. So
Mhm.
I want to build a community of practitioners, trusted practitioners, and I want clients to be able to come in, you know, hang out with me for a while. If they need more of me, then I'm here, and that's great, right? But if there's somebody that is one of my guests who they need more, then go and find what you need for that period and that stage that you are. I have an IVF coach, right? So I'm hoping to catch people prior to any kind of fertility treatments, but if that's not the case, we still can work on food and all of these different things, but
Yes.
we have an IVF coach who is amazing. She's like globally recognized as this amazing IVF coach helping people through the process. So, yeah, I just want people to know about the amazing things that people do and how they can be helped.
Yeah, that's really, really great. That's absolutely great. And it is about connections. It's about
Yeah.
knowing people and asking
Mhm.
questions and referrals, getting good referrals. That's
Yeah.
great that you have a coach that can work with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really an important topic right now, it feels like to me. I feel like there's more infertility on the planet.
Well, there is. There is. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the data shows, and I'm going to get this stat wrong. I should have it right. I've said it multiple times, but I think that male fertility rates in particular have dropped 40% in 50 years or 50% in 60 years, something like that. I mean, it's an
Huge.
incredible drop. Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. And that's the toxins on our planet, right?
It's the
Do you feel like
toxins,
it's
it's
heavy
the
metals and all that
EMFs.
stuff that we're all
Yeah.
exposed to? And
Yeah.
pesticides and herbicides and
All of it, all of those things are killers of cells, right? And
Mhm.
so, think about men carrying their phones, their smartphones in their pockets, and the EMFs that's being put off. I've run into a company who is called. This is going to sound crazy. You're not going to think it's crazy, but a lot of people may think it's crazy because I was like, what? But it's called EMF Rocks. Have you heard of this?
I have.
It's so
I
cool.
have. Is
Yeah.
obsidian one of the rocks?
No, I can't remember
No.
what it's called. Actually, you have it. It's like these little bags of rocks, and it's a type of crystal. But I mean, and there's all kinds of science behind it, all kinds of data, evidence based. I don't like the word science anymore, but but yeah, it helps to block the EMFs. It can help if you have like we do, which I didn't know was a bad thing when we did it. We have a sleep number bed. So
Mhm.
all of the cords and all of this stuff is under our bed, which is completely toxic. So we put that in our room for when we sleep. Anyway, it's really cool stuff. So I've got it on my website. Well, actually, I don't yet, but I will because I love people who are doing really cool things. And the owner of the company is like crazy big brain. I love big brains.
I do too. I do too. The world of biofeedback got me into that. The really like smart, eccentric,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
science, like the blend of science and
mhm,
spirituality is what I love too. Yeah,
yeah.
I have all kinds of little tools around my house as well, and little chips and cell phone chips, and I wear like
Hmm.
a bead. There's a bead that I wear that helps with electromagnetic
Oh,
fields.
nice.
So
Yeah.
there's like all kinds of little tools like that. I
Mhm.
also have like this cool GMAC box in my house. They don't make these anymore. My friend Peter did this and he passed about 5 years ago, but it is the coolest thing. It regulates the geopathic stress in your house.
What
So
is geopathic?
so geopathic is stress from the earth, geo.
Oh, well, sure.
And you can have radon under your property, even if
Oh,
it's not in
yeah.
your property. You can have
Hmm.
all kinds of water streams running underneath property that create like an electromagnetic field. And
Hmm.
so, what the GMAC box does is it regulates gravity and anti-gravity. So I
Interesting.
had it in my office, and then now I have two in my house because I brought that one home. I had one in my house and one in my office. And you know what? I can't get people to leave. Honestly, they feel so good here. It's like they're just like hanging out, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it must be
That's
that. And it
hilarious.
happened in my office too. It was like okay, people just hung out. I mean, they had fall asleep on that couch, and
Sometimes good, sometimes not.
yeah, yeah, it was really yeah, it was yeah. Um, so it just creates a different sort of energetic field.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, yeah. So all these tools, I mean, yeah, we all need these things today, and kids too. Gosh, I had a lady years ago who brought her daughter in, and she had this terrible pain on her leg, and this was quite a few years ago. Um, and we couldn't figure out what it was, and then I found out she slept with her phone there all the time.
Oh, no.
And all we did was just move the phone, right? Like, don't sleep, like, don't have your phone in your
Uh-huh.
bed,
Yeah.
right? Um, and the pain went away.
I think we have this sense that because it's out there, it's safe, right? Or
Hmm.
because we can't see the waves or the EMFs or all the things that it's not that big a deal. And I think that with just the amount, with all of it's like all of the things culminated together, right? It's the amount of stress that we're under, and then the amount of different frequencies and rate wavelengths and toxins that are not studied that are put out in the air. And I
Mhm.
mean, we can go on and on and on about this influx of stuff that our bodies are not prepared for,
Mhm.
and it really is it's creating significant problems. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I experienced that like in 1989, 80, 90. So
Yeah.
they didn't have gluten-free cookbooks then. I created my own diet with that, so it's
Amazing.
a little bit of I could have been a super awesome pioneer if I had decided to write all that stuff. But yeah, I had to change everything for
Hmm.
myself to heal.
Hmm.
So I started learning about all those things.
I mean, we have, very similar stories, right? You become
Mhm.
your own health detective.
Yes.
That's the story. You learn all the things so then you can teach the things, which is the beautiful part about the hard stuff, again, that we go through is now I know it. I can keep learning it, but I can also teach it to help save others the difficulty because it's difficult no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I know that you also so you have like a free handout on about the toxins for us.
Yeah, I put that together. We hear a lot about, food toxins. So we hear about the
Hmm.
pesticides and the herbicides, which there are still some who don't believe that they're a problem. They're a huge problem. They're endocrine disruptors, which
Hmm.
means that they mess with our hormones. They don't allow our own natural hormones to do their job. So that in and of itself is going to create symptoms.
Hmm.
Beyond that, though, of course, we've got the colorings and the chemicals and all the junk that's in our fake food, but we have what we put on our skin. What are we washing our clothes with? Here's a story. I have a client
Hmm.
who was getting like in her underwear section
Hmm.
peeling and really just uncomfortable. And we're trying to figure out what it is. Well, she read, and I'm just going to say this because I think it's important that Tide sensitive, I believe,
Hmm.
or it's like no whatever it was it's not supposed to be in it, was recalled because I think recalled. I hope I'm getting this right, but the point is there was an article something about Tide that
Hmm.
was problematic. She stopped using it because it's exactly what she was using, and it started healing up.
Yeah,
So
simple.
well,
It's
you would think
simple.
so, but it goes back to companies like Neutrogena. everybody talks about how amazing it is. It's incredibly toxic.
Mhm.
And what we're washing our hair with, what we're cleaning our homes with, which is a joke. We're,
Mhm.
cleaning our homes with all this toxic mess. Think about our kids and our dogs and our cats walking on the floors, walking in our backyards, and we just put down pesticides and herbicides. So much of this stuff we have an amazing amount of control over. And so this handout is not complete because it would be just huge. So many of our toxins are not tested, but it's some of the major things to look for
Mhm.
in our food, in our products, in our environment. And then, of course, going to EWG, Environmental Working Group, is an amazing resource for
Mhm.
understanding what it is that you're putting that's going into your environment, and getting rid of it, and getting rid of it immediately. It's like, don't finish it, just
Right.
throw it away
Throw
and go
out.
get the good stuff. It's
Yes, get
not
the
worth finishing and continuing to toxify yourself.
Yeah, no, such a good point. Such a good point. I mean, some very, very basics that we can share with people here is, I mean, some things I have in my house that I clean with is vinegar. So
Yes.
distilled white vinegar, borax,
Mm-hmm.
baking soda, and sea salt is a great scrub for your toilets and your sinks. So we've been
Yep.
doing this for absolutely, for years.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all kinds of natural products. And again, vinegar and water on your windows. Think about going back to great great grandma, what they had,
Yeah. Yep.
right?
My one of my favorites is orange oil. And I'm not talking like the little essential oils that are super expensive. They're great, but
Mm-hmm.
you can get the food grade orange oil in a thing this big, this
Uh-huh.
big, however big.
Uh-huh.
And I use it in my laundry. I use it for cleaning. I use it in the garden. I mean, it's got 14 billion different uses for this orange oil, and it's amazing. I love it. It's so good.
That's very cool. I love that. That's a great little tip. Any other little tips?
Hmm. Um, yeah, I think one of the things is we still are using cookware that has Teflon in it.
Oh,
Teflon is
yes.
considered a permanent, what is it? I can't even think it's permanent. Anyway, we can't eliminate it. It is incredibly toxic, and we can't the earth can't eliminate it. It's
Mm.
awful, awful stuff. And it just doesn't go away. So those are the things to be aware of. If you have, and again, not even using it, if you have anything with Teflon in it, any of these chemicals, throw it away. Go get a
Mhm.
cheap stainless steel, pot,
Mhm.
or skillet, or whatever it is you need. But these things are, goes back to just this. It's one thing after another creating this toxic burden. So look at your cookware, look what you're using, be very, very careful of it, and just get as clean as you can.
Yeah, get as clean as you can. That's really good. That's really good advice. I actually cooked in glass pots,
Yeah.
Corningware pots, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't find them anymore. We
Nope, we
would
had
find
them
them
at
at
a time
garage
too.
sales or wherever, and I would like,
Yep.
oh, there's Corningware pots, because because I could even do the metal. I was so full of heavy metal, so I had to use
Oh,
glass pots, and then
yeah.
later now I can do stainless steel, a good stainless steel. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
ceramic. I think ceramic's good.
ceramic's good. Yep, yep.
Mhm.
I have an old ceramic pot from my mom still.
Yeah.
If you have some of those things, don't throw them
Mhm.
out, you guys. They're good. Yeah.
But you got to make sure they don't have lead in them too.
Yeah, make sure, yeah, you have to kind of check it out. But yeah,
Yeah.
some of that
Hmm.
old stuff is good for sure. Hey, those are such great tips. So hey, so you obviously are keeping yourself healthy now. Give us some tips that Nikki does. What are some of your self-care tips?
Well, we talked about a lot of them. I use, kind of like you, I use the vinegar in the house. We could even use, if you want alcohol, you can use cheap vodka, right? I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
really great for cleaning also. I I eat a good amount of meat. It's all grass fed,
Mm-hmm.
and pasture raised. I think it's so important. And without getting too deep into it, the inflammation of a conventional animal will create inflammation in us. I mean, it's just the way that it works. So we've got to stay away from conventional meat, and the way that the animal's treated is disgusting anyway. So I drink a lot of water. I love my lemons. I do vegetables. I do a little fruit. I grow my vegetables. I'm pretty clean, although I'm not perfect. I have a little bit of a sweet tooth, which is interesting because it's in my genetics, my epigenetics.
Uh-huh.
So I have so much of this, I do a lot, but it's also because I've been studying it for years and years and years, and I made changes over years and years and years, and I'm still learning and will continue to learn for years and years and years. But I want to know my body. I want to know what it needs. Interestingly, too, I'm in this period where I'm having my own hormonal disruptions. You showed me, I knew that there was, estrogen issues, but there's dioxin. So, even when we're really healthy, there are things that we have to figure out. So I had to run my labs. I had to figure out what's going on, and it was adrenal, it's thyroid, it is liver. I mean, it kind of doesn't stop. But that's the beautiful thing about knowing your body and continuing to get to know it, and then of course having access to labs and people who are there to help you get through this stuff. I mean, I didn't do it on my own. I consulted with multiple people to give me guidance on what the heck is going on with my body, because it can get frustrating. I know it can.
Yeah, and that's why you're doing what you're doing now. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's why you're really, really good at it. But it is about that body awareness, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes, very much so.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
If you
my
were
probably, oh, sorry, go ahead.
if you were gonna give us a tip for the brain, what's one brain tip you would like to share with us?
Do you know, and this is, so many. I was going to say one. Okay, so I think it's important to meditate and pray. And it is a consistent practice. No, it's an inconsistent practice for me. I go through phases, and I think that's kind of how we all are. But I do pray and I meditate at this, sort of at the same time. But I think it brings calm, right? It helps to calm the nervous system, which is what we all need. We've got to get out of that sympathetic, state and into the parasympathetic for 100 different reasons. But that would be what I would say. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's a beautiful tip. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hey, this has been such a gift to be with you today, Nikki.
Yeah, it's
Thank you
been
so much for
fun.
sharing with us. You're just delightful, and you've got you just have a beautiful energy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it.
you
Yeah,
have
I've
a
been
really
with you.
beautiful, loving energy, and I know that that's super important when we're working with people. So again, there's a lot of people that we're all introduced to, whether it's on a podcast or we go to an event or whatever. I just want everyone to really follow their heart, and really listen to what's going to work for them,
Yep.
and
Agreed.
thank you for doing the work that you're doing in the world. And thank you for putting together Soulful Conception, such an important company, important platform to really look at today. So kudos to you, my dear. It's just been awesome. Thank you so much for being with me.
Yeah, thank you. It's been super fun. I want to do a quick clarification is that the company is Taste Life Nutrition, and then Soulful Conception is just one of the programs under the company.
One
If
under the company.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Under Taste. Yes. Under your
yeah,
nutrition company. And
yeah, yeah.
again, it's just such good work because you are blending the things that people need and really looking at the root cause and stressors. And it's good. It's really good. And so get that freebie handout from Nikki. So we'll post that here for all of you. So you can read about toxins and some alternatives and how you can work with your own home and your own family, and your own body so that you can heal and be the best that you can be. And remember, everyone, follow your heart, but take your brain with you.
Love it.